You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant pride.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks for being with us today. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion, Shaun O'Hara. The phone number here is 201-939-4513, or find us on Twitter at #GiantsChat. And as a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, on podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast.
I have a request as we start the show. Hi, Madelyn.
Hey, Shaun.
We should be able to do this show outside. It is gorgeous out right now on October 30th, 2 days before November begins, and it's like 70 degrees. Like, I feel like we should be doing this show outside just because we can.
Honestly, no. Pearson, how long would it take us to just break it all down, move us outside, get it going?
It would take a while.
All right, a while.
Pearson's like, he's shaking me off. He's like, never say
Great
that
idea.
Again. He's like, don't ever let those words leave
No
your
more
mouth again.
suggestions from Shaun.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna put that in the box. We'll
Put it in
see.
the suggestion box. We'll
Write
get
that
to
down.
it. It is a gorgeous day. It is unseasonably warm outside. It's going to be nice and toasty for Halloween. So nice outside, even that Brian Dable pushed practice back a little bit. And so normally on Wednesdays, he's addressing the media at 12:30 as our show is starting. And they're practicing right thereafter. But pushed it a little bit, 1:15. So later on in our show, we'll keep you updated with what he has to say in terms of the latest and greatest.
Right. And part of that scheduling change is because it was a Monday night game.
Yeah.
So everything kind of, the fact that they're even in here right now, like technically you play on Sunday, you come in Monday, you're off Tuesday. So they play Monday night, probably got back at, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So yesterday, even though it was an off day, it was like you kind of lost some of your rest and recovery.
Wait, so it's not because it's a nice day out?
I don't think Dable cares about the weather right now. I think
No,
he's
I
got
know.
more important things. But yeah, I think, to push it back too, it's like, hey, it's going to be warmer. It's going to be nicer. I'm sure that there were multiple factors in that as well.
Right. In all seriousness, though, they do have a staff that analyzes the sports science of it and how to optimize the amount of rest you get, especially on a short week and coming back and the travel. And luckily the trip, wasn't a cross-country trip on a Monday night. It was, just Pittsburgh, so just a couple hours. But still, it's a late return home. And, you're getting back to this building at around 4 a.m. and then you get in your car and you drive home. And
some get in their car and drive home.
Oh, yeah. Some just stay right here.
Coaches,
yeah.
Coaches are going up. They're sleeping on the air mattress.
If they're sleeping at all.
Yeah, a couple hours in the chair. Maybe if you got a lazy boy. I used to always tell players, like, on weeks like this, like the LOS, the lack of sleep, is a real thing. Like, don't piss off any of the coaches. Like, just know that they've got the red ass, not just because we lost, but they have not slept. Like, so, like, don't mess up if you're running a scout team card. Like, make sure you pay attention. Like, don't get their Irish up, because they're ready. They're like ready. They're ready to snap.
Salancha,
Right.
as a fellow Irishman.
Well done.
Don't get their Irish up. No, that is true, and that is a good point. And at this point in the season, week 9, is that a niner?
Niner.
Yeah. Or
walkie-talkies.
Right? We're about halfway through the season now. Obviously at 2-6, the Giants are not where they want to be on a short week, a little exhausted, a little banged up. You got Tyrone Tracy in the concussion protocol, as Dave's announced yesterday. You got a couple of the corners working through some things. Dory Jackson's been out a couple of weeks. Cordell Flott banged up. Trying to get healthy in time for not only Sunday's division game against Washington, but a big trip to Germany the following week. And then you got the bye. So lots on the horizon there, Shaun.
Yeah. And obviously anytime you lose on a Monday night, it does feel like a short week. And you're kind of up against the clock trying to accelerate everything and still get the recovery. And so load management, I know that's like a new title now for a lot of people. That probably didn't even exist 5 years ago, but here we are. I think for the Giants, it's also like, all right, the Pittsburgh game was tough. This is a divisional game coming up. So now this game, I mean, there's even more importance to this. Obviously, they played Washington earlier in the season, week 2. Probably should have won that game. If Graham Gano doesn't blow his hammy out on the opening kickoff, that game might be different. So that game in itself could have made this game even more important and that much more substantial when it comes to the big picture. But this is a different Washington team, I think, than even when they played them in week 2. So, it's the short week is tough physically, but the nice thing about it is, like, all right, the quicker we can get to the next game and try to find a way to get that win and just get this boulder rolling. Like it takes a lot to get a boulder going, and sometimes that can be indicative of your season.
Well, and you mentioned too that the last time these two teams played, first of all, the Giants are 0-3 in the division right now.
Yeah.
They've lost to the Commanders, they've lost to the Cowboys, they've lost to the Eagles already. 2 of those 3 at home. This is the first time they're playing Washington at home. The last time these two teams played, though, of course, you mentioned Graham Gano blows out his hamstring on the opening play of the game. So they're without a kicker, essentially, because Jamie Gillen, who's the emergency kicker, misses a field goal attempt early on. And they say, you know what, we're just not going to try it.
Yeah. And that forced them to go for 2 later on, because it was a PAT, right? He missed the PAT. Then they're like, all right, now we're chasing points.
Now we're chasing points. They're going for 2. And then when they're in field goal range on, 3rd, 4th down, they're just pressing for it. They're not settling for those field goals. The other element too is Malik Neighbors. The end of that game had a near catch, and you could see the frustration. And especially when you're playing and you're looking across the field at your college buddy, your college quarterback, who now at this point in week 9 is putting together a Rookie of the Year campaign, is coming off a Hail Mary, an incredible Hail Mary pass that won the game against the Bears. And, I know that Malik not only takes that drop personally, but also takes that competition with his college quarterback and one of his good friends personally.
Yeah, no doubt. When you got, your buddy on the other side, you definitely want to show up. And I know that was a 4th down drop too.
Yeah.
That killed the drive. And, who knows if he catches that ball along the sideline, maybe the outcome is different. But we're coming off of another game where he has another drop at the end of the game, 3rd and 7. He's running a slant route. He's probably caught that ball 1,000 times. And, typically it's not even one of those things you even have to think about. Like, Malik Neighbors is so gifted and he's such a great athlete. He's got great hands.
Yeah.
And in a situation like that, it's, it's growing pains from a young player. It's a rookie mistake. I think that, I talk to my son, and when I coach his football team, I always say, like, look, there's no such thing as losses. Like, everything, the L stands for learning. Like, there are things we have to learn. And, the Giants are learning a lot this year.
Yeah,
I feel like they've got a master's degree already, if that's the case. But those simple little plays, those routine plays that we have been talking about every single Wednesday we come in here, and we're, on the postgame show, we're talking about everything feels so hard. And why is that? It's because the routine plays, just like the layups, are not, like, we make them look hard. We're missing the layups. We're missing the slant, the drop. So I know for Neighbors, that's one of those things where, man, you can't wait to get back out there to get that bad taste out of your mouth. A guy like him, I would not be shocked if he's out there after practice on the jugs machine. Like, hit me with a slant. Guess what? I might make another mistake. It's going to be a new mistake. I'm not going to make that same mistake again. So hopefully, that is the case, and he can kind of get through some of that.
Well, and as a rookie too, I'd imagine some of the some of that as well is, you're in a position where there's nothing but green grass ahead of you. And I've heard this from a lot of receivers. It's like, hey, if you don't focus on just getting that ball before you turn your attention, even if it's not your eyes, but even if it's your attention and your thought process to the fact, all I got to do is, and then this is taking it to the house, or I got to score, or I got a new set of downs. You got to focus on step one, which is bringing in that ball. And if you take that as a for granted or as a given, it's not a given. I mean, how many times as an NFL fan, as somebody who's watched the game, has played the game, whatever, have you seen a ball hit a very capable receiver right in the hands and it's not a given? You know, you got to come up with that and then turn your attention to what's next. And I think sometimes in those big moments, I've seen neighbors get that situation where it's like you can see he knows.
Oh yeah,
he's
like sneaking
grass.
a peek, sneaking a peek at the defender.
He's already got the celebration plan.
He
He's
knows like I gotta get the first down, but maybe I get a touchdown out of it. Like you're putting the cart before the horse, like you said, it's baby step, right? You gotta take care of the first thing first.
Take care of the first thing first, and that's it's no knock on him. That's something that is extremely common and something that as a rookie he's gonna work through. He's gonna learn, and he's gonna say, okay, let me make sure to keep focusing on this, because those late game situations when we see that happening. Especially in that Washington game, this is another opportunity for him to show, all right, as frustrated as he was at the end of that game for hours and for the week kind of afterwards, he's going to, especially against this team, want to show up.
Yeah, and look, as a player, even after a win, I can remember being in the car driving home, and all you could think about is, oh, man, there was like 2 plays that I really want back. And that's what drives you to want it to be great is, can you find those things to just keep that fire burning? And, obviously for Malik, I know we're focusing on this one play. I mean, it wasn't just that one play that cost him the game, but
of course not.
A play like that, you know what, it can make you better. And, that's why I was talking and referring to the, it's not a loss. It's a learning opportunity.
No,
this is a learning opportunity. And I think he will grow from this as a player and a person. And look, the New York media is not gentle when it comes to stuff like this. Rookies kind of get a pass, and I think for him, everybody knows, look, he's talented. I go back to Odell Beckham's rookie year. He had a bunch of drops too. It's Jamar Chase. I remember his rookie year coming out of LSU. Man, he had the drops. He's big time in Cincinnati. People were kind of starting to scratch their head, and they're like, what is wrong with this guy? What's going on? I don't think anybody has those same thoughts or doubts about Jamar Chase now. So I think neighbors will be looking forward to redemption, not just for that drop, but for the drop against Washington. And obviously, I'm sure he'd love to get the dub over his former teammate, Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely. Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or go to giants.com/podcasts. And don't forget, if you are on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. You know the vibe. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. 201-939-4513 is the phone number as we head to the phone lines. We've got Jamal in Dallas on the line. Jamal, thanks for calling in. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank y'all, Shaun and Madelyn. Appreciate taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
A lot to digest, but I do want to say I appreciate that insight from y'all regarding neighbors, regarding him being a rookie and, the little mishaps and stuff like that. The frustrating part is we can accept that from a rookie, right? It's kind of like, okay, rookie, you kind of get that bypass, especially if you're coming out with the status that you came out of, coming from LSU, the track record with LSU receivers. So he kind of gets a bypass because it's a rookie year to a degree, right? So what leads to my point is, man, my man DJ, like, listen, I ain't trying to bash nobody because I know a person's job, but we got to figure out what is going on. Like, I mean, for years you said it was lack of receivers, lack of O-line, lack of this, but it's like, man, I mean, I want to see the kid do great. I think he's a big body quarterback that has a strong arm when he's able to use it. He's athletic, but it just seemed like he doesn't get that Malik Neighbors pass anymore because he's not a rookie anymore. He's not in year 2. He's not with a new regime. It's just like the inconsistency just continue to pile up. We can get on the receivers or drop the balls, yes, that's their job. but not seeing the field, not reading the progressions, not being able to apply protection or move away from protection and stand for 2 or 3 yards like every other quarterback in the NFL does now. It's just like, come on, guy. Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating to see that as a fan, as a former football player. It's just like, man, like, we should be beyond that. And we're going on 6 years of this, and it's just devastating to know that Daz and Kafka and Shaun might be linked to this guy, and God knows we might be blowing it all up again because here we are at 2-6. He's looking at 2-7 within the next week, and it's just frustrating. As a diehard fan, and God bless those people that come every week to watch it in the home games, you can't even score a touchdown. It's just a magnitude of things, and I just want to get your thoughts on, with DJ. I know you can't talk bad about him, but why is there so many inconsistencies, and why are we so up and down and not scoring touchdowns? To me, as a quarterback, that's the number one job, is making sure we score touchdowns. Whether it's through a run game or whatever, but we should be able to get touchdowns in the red zone. I want to hear your take on that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Thanks, Jamal.
Yeah. I mean, look, ditto.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with Jamal. Like, it shouldn't be this hard to score touchdowns.
Right.
I think we were 0 for 3 in the red zone again on Monday night, and those have been the points of emphasis since day one of the season. When Brian Daboll took over the offensive play calling duties and he said, look, I'm grabbing this bull by the horns, it was to improve in third down and red zone. And those are still the things that are crushing the offense right now and their ability to score points. And it's so hard and it's so tough. Like, you watch Red Zone on Sunday with Scott Hansen, and it's like everybody's scoring touchdowns left and right. It's like, I mean, he can't get to the games quick enough. And yet here we are, and it might as well be the Bermuda Triangle. Like, we can't seem to find it. Our offense gets lost there. It's frustrating. It is tough. And to your point about DJ, look, yeah, 100%, he does not get a pass that Malik Neighbors would get for a number of reasons. Look, it's his 6th year in the NFL. Also, when you get paid a big contract like he gets, guess what? You have no more passes. So I don't think Daniel's looking for any passes. I don't think anybody's giving him any passes. I think he knows, and he will be the first one to tell you, look, I'm still trying to find a way to fix all this stuff. He needs to play better. Do I think he can play better? Yes. But I see times where he has a guy that is open, and he can't get the ball to him.
Right.
Like, again, against Pittsburgh, you've got T.J. Watt on this side. You've got Alex Highsmith on this side. There were times where Malik Neighbor was open, and he can't get Neighbors the ball because he's running away from T.J. Watt, and he's avoiding sacks. He got sacked 4 times in that game. Probably should have been more. He did run away from a sack by T.J. Watt, but this offense is just not good enough to overcome mishaps. Hey, a bad throw here, a bad read there, a drop ball here, a guy gets beat here, penalties. I mean, the penalties right now are just, they're piling up, and that seemed to be a real big momentum, like blocker for them on the road. Every time you get a penalty, it's like, here we go. Now we're making it hard. Now we're in 3rd and 12. Mm-hmm. So it's a conglomeration of things, and I don't think anybody should get a pass. Like, this is the NFL. You're accountable. You mess up, own up to it, chin up, take it like a man, and let's go. Make a different mistake. I'm not telling you to make mistakes, but if you're going to make a mistake, make it a new one, not the same one. Here's the challenge offensively. 2nd week in a row, you're starting a brand new left tackle, right? Josh Azudu 2 weeks ago steps in against Philly, kind of struggled early on and then settled down. And then they just signed Chris Hubbard off the practice squad from the 49ers, I believe.
Yeah.
And look, Chris Hubbard played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so maybe it was like, hey, look, maybe he'll have a little home field advantage. But now you start him at left tackle. It's his first game. They were trying to help him out, but there were times where he didn't have help. And those are things that you kind of look at as you watch the film and you're like, did we really set Daniel Jones up for success by not chipping with the running back?
Yeah.
There were 2 sacks in that game where they were chipping T.J. Watt with the tight end, and the running back did not chip on your brand new left tackle, the guy that's been here for a week. That to me is insane. Like, what are you doing? If you're a running back there, you have to have some awareness here. Like, I'm here to chip.
Right.
Like, forget about my route. You can't be in a hurry to get out for the check down. That's not helping anybody. Yeah. So twice the running back did not chip. There was another time, it was the sack later on in the game where TJ Watt got the strip sack fumble, hit the trifecta there. We got the tight end on the left helping out our new left tackle and Chris Hubbard, as he should. The tight end's chipping. There is a running back right there, and he is in such a hurry to get out for the route. He runs, steps up into the B gap. That's TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year. He's led the NFL in sacks 3 different times. Like, you cannot get on your route without at least running through, giving some presence on the outside for your tackle. He beats Jermaine Illuminor for the sack, the strip sack, basically the walk-off sack, if you will. Those are the kind of things that good football teams take care of. They handle.
Right.
When you're not functioning at a high level, when you're not on your P's and Q's, when you're not on your A game, those are the kind of things that slip through the cracks. And, look, everybody, blames the quarterback first, and that's the way that the NFL operates. The highest paid guys, they get all the fame, they get all the blame. But there's a lot of people chipping into that. There's a lot of people contributing to that dysfunction. And look, even at their best, like the Giants are not a great offense right now. They've got some young players. They're still trying to figure things out. I think with the game on the line, there is one guy on this Giants offense right now that you think is a playmaker and that can help us make a play to win the game, and it's Neighbors. I think Tyrone Tracy is sneaking into that conversation right now with some of his explosive plays. But really, this offense is basically as Neighbors goes, and that's tough. I mean, you look around the league, like there are teams that have 3 or 4 guys that on any given play can take something to the house, can make something special happen. So it's tough sledding right now for the Giants, and I think before the season even started, this was the way that their offense was going to be. Like, they were going to have to win games with great defense, and we're going to have to not beat ourselves offensively. The problem is, week in and week out, they keep beating themselves, and it's mental and it's physical. So I get it, Jamal. It's frustrating. It's tough. We can no longer sit here and just say, be patient, be patient. No. There's zero patience in New York, in New Jersey, in this area.
Yeah, and one thing I actually found interesting is if you watch the TV broadcast, the TV copy of the game, Joe Buck on Monday Night Football made a point that I thought was actually a good observation, and I'm curious your perception of it too. A lot of quarterbacking is anticipation, right? You understand where the routes are going to unfold, where the coverage is going to be, where the protection is. It's anticipation, and it's also trust. And the point that Buck made was that Daniel Jones is waiting to see it before he lets go of the ball. He's waiting to see that the receiver is where he's supposed to be. He's waiting to see that the route's unfolding the way it's meant to. He's waiting to see that the coverage is exactly for that confirmation, rather than trusting, I'm going to throw to this place and know that you're going to get there. And so we've seen this a lot this season where, a receiver will get to spot and wait for it, or kind of have to come back for the ball or whatever, because there's that delay of, do I let it go and trust that you'll be there?
Right.
Or do I wait until my eyes can confirm what I know to be true? And a lot of that is trust in yourself, trust in your own preparation, trust in your teammates, trust in your protection, trust in your receivers to be where they are. And also just, I'm curious too if any of that is just, hey, like, I don't so badly don't want to turn the ball over. Let me make sure, like, overemphasize that you're going to be there before I let go of this thing.
Yeah. I think it's probably a little bit of all of that.
Yeah.
Right. And Troy was mentioning that on the broadcast as well. And he was like, there was a ball at the sideline to Slayton, and it was kind of high. The throw was high, and he went up to make the catch, and he got hit pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And that was the play I think that you might be referencing. And Troy was like, "Look, Daniel Jones is one of those quarterbacks that he has to see it first. He's got to see that you're open, and then the ball comes out." And that has been one of the toughest things when you're watching film on it. It's like, man, all right, great decision. The throw was accurate, but it was just a half second behind, and that's why it got tipped, or that's why it was just a catch and a stop and not a catch and a run. I think those are things, and you'll hear the coaches sometimes in practice, they're talking about, hey, we got to speed things up mentally and physically. Speed it up. And I think that's something that Daniel has been working on for years. That's not a new phenomenon with him this year. It's got to come out quicker. The decision's got to be made quicker. Pre-snap, is there a reason why you're not anticipating, hey, this is cover 2, like I should know where I'm going to go with this ball. Like I shouldn't even have to look anywhere else. Like, it's cover 2, I'm going right here, boom, be decisive. I think that's where he can get better, and he needs to get better. And so it wasn't just that throw. I mean, there was another pass that I thought he didn't trust that. It was a sack. It was 3rd and 19 in the third quarter. Obviously, 3rd and 19 is not ideal. They were in 3rd and 19 because he was sacked previously on the play before that by T.J. Watt. But it's 3rd and 19, and you're on you're on their 40-yard line, so you're really not in field goal range. And he had a chance to hit Neighbors. Like Neighbors was one-on-one down on the bottom of the screen, as if you're watching film or looking at it on TV. Neighbors is down on the bottom, and the safety is cheated over to the right side of the field. And Daniel drops back, and the safety is kind of cheated towards the top receiver. In that moment right there, as soon as you see that safety is cheated over and you have Neighbors over here, give it a roar. You got to give it a shot. And Neighbors, you've got to trust him. To your point, you've got to have that trust that, you know what, I'm letting this ball rip. It's 3rd and 19. Taking a sack doesn't do anybody any justice. It's not like I'm taking us out of field goal range. Like, they ended up punting after that. So it's like you get sacked because he hesitated, didn't let that ball rip, and you make that throw, and you know what? You make a throw that is either all raw, nobody's telling you to throw an interception, but even if the guy picks it off in the end zone, like you were going to punt anyways. Right. So it's not a big deal. Those are the times when you take a shot. Maybe he catches it. Maybe he gets PI. So now maybe you're down on the 1-yard line. Like those are the kind of plays that Daniel needs to make. That's the throw where he needs to pull the trigger. And I think that's probably one of the biggest blips right now on his game is that he's not being as aggressive. Yeah. Is it a confidence thing? Is it we're not good enough right now to make up for me throwing interceptions. I don't want to throw interceptions because now people are throwing heat on me.
Right.
Look, the heat's coming anyways, DJ, so you might as well let it rip. I think that would be probably the one thing that I think everybody would love to see from him on Sunday. When the Giants at 1 p.m., when they get the ball, their first possession at 1:03 p.m., 1:05 p.m., whenever it is, like just if Daniel just went out there and just started ripping it, and you threw 2 picks, I think fans would be like, you know what, he gave him a shot. He's throwing the ball up, letting Slayton try to make plays, letting Neighbors make plays. I'm not saying be reckless. You're not throwing into double coverage, but there are times where, you'd like to see him, fit a throw in there, or what, just let it rip. Don't be so conservative. Don't be so concerned with, making the perfect play every single time. Sometimes it's got to be a little dirty, and sometimes you got to trust that they're going to make you look good.
Well, and you think back to that a couple of years ago when he was throwing a lot of interceptions, and that was a point of emphasis in his game to clean up. And I think, you liken it to a trust fall, right? You trust fall, you fall, right. Your teammate's back there to catch you, but that one time that they don't, the one time that they let you hit the ground, now you're like, you back there? You back there? You got to look over your shoulder. You can't just walk in and fall and know that they're back there. And I think he needs to have the confidence in his teammates that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder and make sure they're behind him. He knows he can trust fall on them for that, whatever.
And the change in that, the variable in that trust fall is for the last 2 weeks, he's had a new guy catching him.
Exactly.
So it's like, you know what? I built up this trust with Andrew Thomas.
Yeah.
Like, I trust that you're going to catch me. I trust you're going to protect me.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I had somebody new.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure how this is going to go. And then all of a sudden, now somebody not even that I've known for 3 months. I've known you for a week.
Yeah. I'm still trying to remember your name.
What's your name? Hubbard?
Yeah.
Hubbard? Okay, yeah. That's a challenge, no doubt about it. And, here we are. I think one of the things you can look at, too, is the importance of Andrew Thomas in this offense. Here we are 2 years in a row now that Andrew Thomas goes down, and we don't have an answer for it, and we don't have anybody that can play anywhere near the same level as him. Look, he's a Pro Bowl left tackle, one of the best left tackles in the NFL right now. So that's a huge loss. And look, you don't have a second guy like that, ready to step up and play. But, you'd like to think that you'd have somebody that you can trust and that's capable.
Yeah.
That trust is only built through time and through reps. And that's where the confidence builds from. You can't microwave that in 3 days.
No, I know. I mean, I remember going into last season at training camp, going into the 2023 season, and Brian Dable made some comment at the podium saying, every position on this roster is open for competition except left tackle. Like, that is how vital Andrew Thomas is, in such a sweeping statement of like, yes, we want the best of the best to compete, but left tackle, like, there's no one above Andrew Thomas in this building. And it's a tough loss, out for the season, of course, with that Liz Frank injury to his foot. All right, Giants fans, Take your fandom to the next level with a season ticket membership. Stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2024 season. To learn more about all the exclusive member benefits, visit giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. 201-939-4513 is the phone number as we head back to the phone lines. We've got Cliff in New York on the line. Cliff, you're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Madelyn and Shaun.
Hey, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Got you, Cliff.
Yeah. Great stuff. I told Dom I was thinking I see a good potential for a real breakout game for us on Sunday. I think, and a lot of it has to do with what I saw on Monday night. The way the Steelers, I didn't realize how tough a place that was to play, and I think that maybe it had something to do with Dable thinking about Izudu's development, and it wasn't the most ideal place for him to take the next step. But the way the Steelers played also got my attention. Not just the way. It's not like that stadium was cheating opponents by having acoustic engineering to make the noise beyond what human beings can stand, like Seattle. But it seems like they still have a terrific advantage there with the fans, and maybe we can take a hint with that. But the thing was the way those guys hit. Leading up to that game, you guys were teaching us about the way the coaches and how they practice on Friday hard, and other teams don't do that. And like that play to Slayton you mentioned, where the DB goes in to break it up, he doesn't just go for the ball. He blasts Slayton. He doesn't hurt him. He doesn't hurt him. He shook up a little bit. He gets up. He stays in the game. He's okay. But there was no way he was going to catch that pass. And another team might have been a little different. And I saw that during the game too. Like what you think of as relatively routine plays up the middle. Everybody's taught to gang tackle a running back, and you see the first hit on the guy, first contact is made, and here comes the second guy, and the second guy comes in, and it's wham! They're really laying it on him. And I don't know if we can take a hint from that, but this frustration that everybody talked about is what's driving me for Sunday, because I'm wondering if they can channel that frustration into some anger, controlled anger. And I know we heard a lot about Coach Bowen, and I remember your interview with him, Shaun, in the preseason, riding around the parking lot in the Cadillac, and the
lyric all electric Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I said, boy, that I never saw that before. We just saw the interior. But anyway, I know he's got an idea for what kind of mindset he wants, and I think we've got the horses to do it. But I just think we could really punish these people coming in. I think they should be able to pay for visiting us. I think we used to be a venue where you would not want to particularly come here because you were going to get creamed. But that's just on defense. On offense, I was impressed. Are you kidding me? Where did we come off running up 400 yards on them? That was amazing. And as far as Daniel goes, look, him and everybody else needs reps, like you just mentioned. And Daniel, they keep saying he's been around 6 years. He doesn't have reps on all kinds of things that he's getting right now. So I'm kind of optimistic, and I hope we can translate the frustration into some kind of anger. I just think those guys across the field from us this Sunday, they weren't supposed to be that good coming in. I think they just got a big boost coming into the season. I think they just got a big boost from the ownership change and the coaching change, and the deficiencies that they had in their roster, are on film now for 7 weeks. So I think we really have a shot at a big breakout game.
I like the optimism, Cliff. Thanks so much.
Yeah, let's put our Yankees hats on. Look, they had a huge night last night. All of a sudden, the bats woke up, down 0-3, basically in the series, and all of a sudden they had that spark. So, Cliff, couple things. Number one, you must not have been paying attention last week when Matt and I were talking about how this is going to be a tough place to play. Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh. It's an 8:15 p.m. game, which means everybody's in the parking lot at 3 o'clock getting lubed up. Pittsburgh is always a great environment for a football game. The fans are into it. The terrible towels are going. It's always a physical team, and that's, starts at the top with Mike Tomlin. Like, you know what you're going to get with playing the Steelers. So, yeah, I think everybody knew going into it that was going to be a physical game. Their crowd has been energized by Russell Wilson. And I think, Justin Fields, I don't know if he got them as excited. There were certain plays where he would make with his legs that got everybody jumped up, but Russell has provided a spark for them, and I think that helped juice up that stadium. Can the Giants do that? Like, yes. Can they? That's the question right now. And it's the frustration. I think they're all frustrated. I think absolutely. How do you channel that? What can you turn that into? I would settle for just execution. Like, if you want to get angry, that's fine. If you want to get fired up, great. Does that equal better execution? Because if it does, then I'm all in. But it's the execution that is the most critical aspect of this team. And in order to win a football game, you've got to earn it. You've got to earn the right to win. You can't do that if you've got penalties. How many penalties do they have
11.
in that game? 11 penalties.
Giants had 11
That's
penalties.
That's not earning a victory.
No.
Right? I mean, if you're going to turn the football over, if you're going to let a quarterback get sacked, and if you're going to have these mental errors, if you're going to have these bad plays offensively that set you back, you're not earning the right to win. So you've got to earn the right to win by getting it into the fourth quarter and give your team a chance to win it at the end. That's really what this NFL is all about. The challenge is Jayden Daniels has been phenomenal in the fourth quarter. I think right now, throw another name out there. I'm trying to think. If you were to say who's the lead dogs right now for Rookie of the Year, I think Jayden Daniels and Malik Neighbors are a two-headed monster right now in that conversation. Trying to think who else. I mean, Marvin Harrison, maybe sneaking into that, but like consistently, Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
They won a couple of games. I think, like what Jayden Daniels is doing right now as a rookie, it really has not been done in a long time. He's leading the NFL in the fourth quarter in completion percentage.
And the team is winning, which I think is also...
That definitely helps.
It helps because of the way that, the Washington team has kind of turned it around behind his play.
Yeah, and he's kind of emulating what C.J. Stroud did last year.
Yeah.
The team is winning. Are they winning because of him? Yes. Is he helping elevate guys around him? Yeah, obviously. I mean, that throw, the Hail Mary, doesn't happen, if he doesn't find a way to buy time and launch that ball like he did. But when you kind of look at, like this stat right now, he's got the highest completion percentage in NFL history for rookies with more than 200 passes. Like that's impressive stuff right there. It's not just, hey, in the division. This is going back in the history of the NFL. So that's big. I mentioned C.J. Stroud. The last time the Washington Commanders had a quarterback play like this, it was RG3, and he ended up winning Rookie of the Year as well. So this is a great test for this Giants defense, who's leading the NFL in sacks. They're getting after the quarterback. They had multiple times to sack Jayden Daniels in week 2, and they didn't get him down. I think Isaiah Simmons missed one.
But they still got him. They still got 5 sacks on him.
They still got 5. They probably should have had 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So you've got to, when you get your chance to wrap them up and put them down, you've got to do it. So this would be a great opportunity and a great time. I could think of no better time than this Sunday at 1 o'clock for the Giants to have an offensive explosion.
No better time than now.
I think Daniel Jones would appreciate that. I think Giants fans would appreciate that. He has yet to throw a touchdown pass at home this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. That's tough to swallow as a fan. It's tough to swallow as a former player. And I think for Daniel Jones, he wants to play well at home. We've talked about it, like, hey, maybe he needs to let loose. I don't know. Maybe he needs to go hang out with LT on Saturday night before the game. I don't know.
I would probably advise against that one. I would probably advise. But, you talk about Jayden Daniels and how impressive he has been as a rookie. But just in the context of the entire league, like not just rookies, but in the National Football League in the fourth quarter, he leads the NFL in fourth quarter completion percentage, not rookies, the NFL. He leads the NFL in fourth quarter passing yards per attempt. He leads the NFL in fourth quarter passing touchdown to interception ratio with 4 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And he leads the NFL with a 130.9 passer rating in the fourth quarter. So finish strong is one of those things that people, coaches and players, everyone kind of emphasizes right there. And Jayden Daniels is doing that not just in a rookie level, but in an NFL-wide quarterbacking level.
That's such an impressive stat for many reasons. I don't know that you could sit here and say this is why he's having that success in the fourth quarter. But obviously, you look back at his college career. Starts out in Arizona State, ends up transferring to LSU. So he's a little bit battle tested in terms of going to a new team and creating new relationships with new teammates, learning a new offense. And then you play at LSU on the national stage. Like he's not shying away from the big moments. He's not shying away from big games, primetime games. But I also kind of go back to, I used to do a show on NFL Network called Playbook with Brian Billick. He was a coach of the Baltimore Ravens, Super Bowl winning coach. And he used to have this saying, and he would sprinkle it out through some of the shows. And he would say, you can't win with players who don't do what they're coached to do. And you can't win with players who can only do what they're coached to do. And he said it a couple of times, and I was like, Coach, you lost me.
Yeah.
Maybe like the third time he said it, then I was like, all right, what does that mean? What are you saying? He's like, look, you can't win with players that aren't coachable, right? Like you got to have coachable players. But you can't win if you don't have players that can play above the X and O's, players that just make stuff happen.
Players that only do what they're told to do and nothing outside of that.
I mean, case in point, like the Super Bowl 42, the Tyree helmet catch.
Right.
Like, I was at a Giants event the other day, and we're breaking down the play, and it's like we joke about it. It's just the play we drew it up. No, absolutely, everything went haywire.
Nothing about it, yeah.
And yet, it's the best play in the history of the NFL.
It's one of those JBD plays, just ball.
Just ball. Like you got to have that. Also, like you got to have, players that are not going to lose the game because they're coachable, but also like, hey man, you got to make a heck of a play. Like and there were like, we would show audio of Billick on the sideline, like yelling at Ed Reed, no, like he's taking the missed field goal out of the end zone.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, go down. Yes, go, score. And it's like, all right, that right there was not coaching. That was just a guy just making a hell of a play.
Yeah.
The Giants need that. Like they need some of that. They need somebody to play above the X and O's. I feel like they have guys on defense that are doing that.
Yeah.
They need more guys on offense to do that. Hey, you know what? It's a slant route. It's 3rd and 7. I'm going to catch the ball. I'm not just getting the first down. I'm taking it to the house. And like those are the kind of plays that I think everybody's craving right now. Like we're just starving for some of that electricity. And I think if it does happen, place is going to go nuts.
Absolutely. And guys that we saw, I mean, Tyrone Tracy had a play like that last week.
Yeah, that was exactly what we're talking about right there.
Exactly it. It was like, you know what? But wait, there's more. Call now, and we'll take it 45 yards to the house.
Right.
Head coach Brian Dable is actually just stepping to the podium to address the media before practice today. And speaking of Tyrone Tracy, Dave says that he is in the early stages of the concussion protocol. Will do some work on the side of the field with trainers at practice today, Wednesday, but still remains to be seen. Of course, Tracy left the game in the fourth quarter with a concussion, was pretty shaken up.
It feels very Giant-like right now, right? Like as soon as somebody makes a great play, he has an unbelievable game. What do you have? 145 yards rushing. Like he's breaking people off. Like scores an unbelievable touchdown, and then he gets a concussion.
And not just 145 yards rushing. He had 7.3 yards per carry, which is almost double an average against Pittsburgh. Yeah. And he had almost 4 yards after contact, an average of almost 4 yards after contact. I mean, there were some runs. I was talking about this earlier on a show that we did. And he had a 17-yard run in which he was contacted like yard 1. And this man just fought and churned for every single one of those. So talking about a guy who can play above the X's and O's, we wishing him the best and some healthy recovery so he can get back on the field and do so healthy soon. Also, Josh Ezeudu, left tackle Josh Ezeudu, is out of practice today. He's getting his knee drained. So that we will keep monitoring as well as we monitor. I know, we talked about the fact that they made a change at left tackle.
That could have been a factor.
That could have been a factor.
Flared up.
Because he is getting his knee drained. He will not be practicing today. Other players who are not going to be practicing are, this just refreshed, Jamie Gillum and Matt Adams and Bryce Ford Wheaton. Smith Marset also not working today. Dexter Lawrence getting a vet day, much deserved. I think that's become a regular thing. He's playing well on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays, and they want to keep him fresh and healthy. And that's all the news is fit to print in terms of injury reports.
So Illuminor missed practice last week leading up to the game with a hip injury.
But he did play.
He played. It's good to see that he's not on that list after that game. You never know if it swells up again or it's sore. The Azudu thing is kind of new. I don't know if that happened in the game or if that was something that was building up to it. And maybe that's why they felt like they needed to start Hubbard if he was going to be, hobbled or, battling that throughout the game. That's not ideal.
Yeah.
Dexter Lawrence, though, he can have as many days off as he wants. Like, I don't care if Dexter practices at all this week. Like, he's going to show up on Sunday and get his dance in.
Yeah.
I don't know. You may have been leapfrogged, by the way. I know you've been one of Dexter Lawrence's biggest fans, and you've been one of the biggest fans of the Sexy Dexy, but you may have just gotten leapfrogged on Monday night.
Yeah.
The Manning cast, I know it's always tough on Monday night. Like, I like to watch the game because I like to listen to Joe and Troy. I think that they're phenomenal what they do, and I like their insight. But I got to listen to my guys too. So I'll have two screens going. I'll have one on the iPad, one on the TV. I don't know what Eli was wearing. Like, it looked like a Halloween costume, but
khakis.
He did a whole breakdown on the Sexy Dexy. What were your thoughts as this was happening, and what is your critique on Eli's Sexy Dexy dance?
Well, thing one, I will say I didn't see it live happening because I was watching.
That's fine. Yeah, you're doing the post game show.
We had a post game show to prep for. I was locked in, but had I known that had happened, I would have called for that highlight on our post game show because that got to give the people what they want to see. Absolutely. I will say, so I have been a big fan of the Sexy Dexy dance for years.
Right out the first time he did it, you were Johnny on the spot.
Well, Dexter's rookie year, I used to host a segment called the Players Lounge where I'd interview players each week. We've now repurposed that. Victor Cruz does a fantastic job. Check it out on Giants.com. He sits down, has long-form conversations with a lot of different players. But in this earlier iteration of the Players Lounge, I had an actual lesson from Dexter Lawrence himself on how to do it.
Ooh, we got to find that clip.
And it exists on the World Wide Web, on YouTube, all over the place. I will find it. I'll bring it up. I'll tweet it out for you.
We're going to get that on the show.
And one thing that I will say that Eli, he had the hips down, but he didn't have enough shoulder. There's a little bit more rotation.
Yeah.
He had his arms both behind at all times, and you got to go kind of one front, one back.
Right.
And have a little bit more of a roll on the shoulders,
more upper movement,
and you need it. And also, I mean, as a lineman, you know this. Low man wins. You got to get low, and I think Eli could have gotten a little bit lower in the base. But again, for his first Sexy Dexy performance on a national stage, I think the two-time Super Bowl MVP did a fantastic job. And again, there's no losses. There's only learning moments. And it's a good one to say, okay, let's go back, watch the film and see where we can get into it. But overall,
I think
nailed it.
Bill Belichick's face was comical. Watching him and his reaction to what did I sign up for here? I thought we were talking about football. Now this guy's over here dancing like he's at the high school prom. I think I agree with your assessment on Eli. It definitely looked a little bit, robotic. You want to get a little more salsa, get a little more loose, get into it a little bit more, get into the character. I will say this, I think there's two reasons why Eli wasn't able to get low. Like Dexter, he gets low. I mean, he's down there.
You gotta have almost a 90-degree bend on those knees.
When Madelyn does it, she gets low.
Gotta get a full plie in second position.
I think there's a couple of factors that come to mind when I think about Eli and his MKB, his inability to MKB, which stands for maintain knee bend. That's an O-line term. Flats, our O-line coach, used to always write that on our tip sheet, so we kind of had a joke out of MKB, maintain knee bend. Here's the reasons. Number one, Eli is clearly skipping leg day. Like, he works out, I know that, but you know what? You got to do more legs. Like, you can't just be upper body stuff.
Friends don't let friends skip leg day.
No, you can't. You're not allowed to. It's not okay to just work upstairs. You got to work on the lower level too. I will say that I don't think Eli was a big leg guy when he played either. He's a quarterback, so I get it. That's factor number one. Factor number two is my man's rocking pants that are way too tight. Like, the tight pants, they prevent you from getting low. That knee bend, it's not happening with the tight pants. So maybe we
need some fabric elasticity.
Yeah, we need a little more neoprene, a little more spandexy.
Yeah.
What is that? Polyester? What's the?
I think definitely spandex would
nylon.
add some, nylon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, a cotton blend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think realistically, that was only week 8. You know, got a lot of season left for Eli to workshop this.
There's some time.
But
I don't know if Peyton will let him ever do that again. I think Peyton, you could see the disgust on his face as well.
Much like how our boss Don Sperling does not really enjoy when I do it on the show. Just, you know, I think the key is just it's immersion therapy. The more you do it, the more it's like you'll grow to appreciate how much we love this.
Here's what should be appreciated is it's not like you're choreographing that, hey, I'm going to do this on the show. It's spontaneous. It's like, boom, there's a big play, there's a sack, Dexter's doing it. Like you do it on, like, this was clearly rehearsed. This was planned. This was in the rundown. Like, this is something that Eli even said, I've been watching videos, I've been practicing it. So there was a lot of creative content that went into that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we are talking about it still. So, I mean, mission accomplished, I guess.
You're welcome. It's worth it. Got to give the people what they want. And it's, you know, these moments that spark joy amongst the season is what we're looking for. Because, again, week 9, Niner. Also, John Schmelk, who's out there talking to Coach Dable with the media, has updated me that Cordell Flott is also limited today.
He's been banged up, I feel like, all season. Like, he's been battling stuff. It's tough.
Yep. Dan Duggan of The Athletic is tweeting that Dable says Chris Hubbard will start at left tackle again this week. So that is a certainty that's good to plan for going into the game. I'm sure you know that, or, you know, having that consistency through the week of practice, not just in the game, is probably important as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, for him, I'm sure there was times in the huddle where he's like, what am I supposed to do on this play? Like, what,
right.
Like he's been here for a week. So
yeah,
he understands techniques and, you know, look, like there's base blocking schemes that you can understand, but you may have a different call for it. You know, like in one team, you may call it a cat block. On another team, you may call it a queen block. You know, it's different terminology. So for him, I'm sure he's, you know, going to be better in week 2 just because his knowledge of it is going to help. Also, his first start at left tackle ever. I think he started a bunch of games at right tackle. I think he's got 50 starts as a right tackle in the NFL. So he's you know, got some savvy experience with that. But now your first start is at left tackle on the road against Pittsburgh in the silent count, and you got Alex Highsmith over here. Like, that's you know, that's a tough task right there. That's a tall order. I think, you know, for him, he should be better in this second game in this offense, but you've also got to help him out. Like, don't put him on the island 10 times. You know, I know Dable's aware of that. You know, I was talking to him about that even before the game previously with Josh Ezeudu. It's like, hey, we don't want to throw the ball 45 times and put him on an island one-on-one 10 times. That's not ideal, and that's not putting players in the best position to succeed. But again, you know, the challenge for not just Chris Hubbard, but it's Carmen Brasillo, the offensive line coach. Now he has to spend extra time, like, getting this guy up to speed. And, like, Here we go. All right, like, I got to spend extra time making sure you understand all of our calls. Here's how we block things. And it's not just, you know, our basic offense. It's short yardage, goal line. Like, you know, there's only so many reps during the week that you can get.
Yeah.
So there's going to be plays where he's running for the very first time on game day.
But it is helpful that they have decided that he's a starter at this point in the week instead of going through it, because, like we said, there's only so many reps in practice. And if you're splitting the 1 reps between multiple players to decide who's getting the start versus, okay, you're going to be practicing with the ones all week.
Yeah.
Get entrenched in it, get invested in it, and get up to speed as well.
I think that's great. I don't know why you have to announce it.
Yeah, that's true.
You could tell him that in confidence, like, hey, you're working with the ones you're starting, but, like, you know what, we're not sure yet. Like,
yeah,
you can.
I would
make them watch film on Ezeudu too.
Yeah, I would imagine announcing that Ezeudu is getting his knee drained today and missing practice kind of made it obvious as well. And so to avoid the litany of
don't commit until you have to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Also, the Giants have signed offensive lineman Garrett Greenfield to the practice squad as well, adding some depth there. Greenfield, of course, is a young lineman out of South Dakota State. And, so we'll see what he contributes and if that ends up being a factor. That's all the news out of Dabes'.
So I attribute that directly to the fact that Ezeudu's not practicing.
Right.
So now you lose a guy. We need a body. We need somebody so if he can't practice the rest of the week, we can't ask one of our starters to all of a sudden now, you know, take 50 extra reps in practice. So, you know, that's one of the luxuries of the practice squad being expanded now, and you can bring in guys, and those guys are really there to help your team get ready during the week.
Absolutely, that they are. Week 9, Niner, Giants, Washington, MetLife Stadium, home game coming out there. But before that, I have one more very pressing question for the Super Bowl champion, Shaun O'Hara.
Okay.
One of the 100 greatest players in Giants franchise history as we celebrate our 100th season. Week 9, today is October 30th. It is the day before Halloween. And my question for you, Shaun, is what are you going to be for Halloween this year?
Yeah, this is interesting. With 3 kids, I feel like the last couple of years I've had multiple outfits because like last year my daughter wanted to go as Jasmine, Princess Jasmine, so I went as the genie because I wanted to,
it's great dad right there.
Lockstep with her. The year before she went as Ariel, so I went as King Triton. So this year she's going as a cheerleader. So I don't know what I'm gonna do because I do have a cheerleader outfit. For those of you that are Will Ferrell fans,
Yes. Iconic.
I've got a little Spartan spirit, and it sounds like the Giants might need the perfect cheer.
I think they might.
Taco, burrito, what's that hanging out of your Speedo? You're blowing bubbles. You're going nowhere. You're treading water. You suck.
I love the image of watching you walk up and down the street with your kids.
Yeah, I may do that for her. She's got a parade at her elementary school, so
Cute.
I may do that to be in lockstep with her. But I also have an Incredible Hulk costume that I have that I just feel like sometimes you just feel like you want to smash stuff. And I feel like Giants fans can probably relate. So the Hulk smash may rear its ugly head. I'm a big fan of David Banner. I felt like that was my childhood. Like my favorite Marvel character was Incredible Hulk. I used to run around.
Oh, when you say David Banner, I think of David Banner, like the musician.
Right, different David Banner. This guy.
I was like, what a pivot! The Hulk or David Banner?
Yeah, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
No,
it was kind of like.
That was anger is only a letter away from danger.
Yeah. And I always kind of felt like that was, like as a football player, that's who you should be. Like you're David Banner out in the streets, and you get on the field, and you're the Hulk, and you just smash everything. So I've got that in the fold, and then I'm getting pressure from the wife to do like the family theme. My oldest daughter's going to Taylor Swift. My son has a Travis Kelce jersey. She's got something Taylor Swift related, so she's like, so I'm like, well, what am I supposed to be like Jason Kelce? Like he's Travis Kelce. Do I go as Jason Kelce? I'm like, I don't know if I can wear an Eagles jersey, so that's not flying. She's like, why don't you be a referee?
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, so that would go. So I'll be the referee. My youngest is the cheerleader. I've got Kelsey in a football jersey.
I like this whole themed,
So yeah, we're trying. It's hard. It's hard to do the family costume with 5 and that many different ages.
Yeah.
So that's in 2,000 words or less. That's my Halloween costume. How about you?
I think that is iconic. I am going to be working on Thursday night, so I had to wear something that is work appropriate but also Halloween-y. So I'm just going to be CBS Barbie, essentially.
CBS Barbie, okay.
Yeah, I'll be working at CBS. We're going to be covering the Thursday night football game from that angle on HQ, and so I'll just be wearing bright hot pink suit.
I'm just curious, so you needed to be something work appropriate.
Yeah. So it was like not gonna wear like animal ears or like tilt, I can't go full like Wonder Woman outfit because then what if like some breaking news happens and for some heaven forbid I have to do an obituary and I'm dressed as Wonder Woman.
You don't want that. You don't want that. Was Veronica Corningstone at all in the mix?
Well, so that's the other thing too. This suit, it's like a hot pink suit and it can be open to interpretation. It can be HQ Barbie. It also can be Veronica Corningstone because realistically. Right. So
yeah, I
felt like that was kind of the vibe, but I don't know. The only Veronica Corningstone quote that is coming to mind right now, I don't know if I could say on this show. So.
You stay classy.
You stay classy. And thanks for stopping by. Yeah, so we'll keep that one. But yeah, it'll be a good one. Halloween, dress up as a Giants win on Sunday.
That sounds good.
I'd like to see it.
Dexter, you could have rocked the Dexter Lawrence.
You know what?
jersey.
I should have just put out the 97 and just walk like this up and down the street.
Like Sexy Dexy's #1 fan.
No, that's his wife. His wife is definitely going as Sexy Dexy's #1 fan.
Outside of the family.
Outside of the family. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
big supporter.
I see you've got quite the conundrum.
Yeah.
You want to be festive. You want your 15 pieces of flair.
Obviously.
Like you want to keep your job at Tchotchkes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not satisfied with the bare minimum, you know? I mean, this guy over here's got 87 pieces of flair.
Yeah, look at him.
Look at him. On that note, we leave you today. But first, want to remind you the Giants' official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac. We're a part of the Giants podcast platforms everywhere, and giants.com/podcast. For Shaun O'Hara, I'm Madelyn Burke. Thanks for stopping by.
Catch the new original Hulu documentary, Road Diary. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band.
When the world shut down, I made a promise that if we got through this, I'd throw the biggest party I could.
Variety calls Road Diary a soulful celebration. And the New York Post raves, a genius at work.
Can't disappoint the fans. Can't do that.
Road Diary, now streaming on Hulu and Disney+.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jared Goff, quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Abercrombie's NFL partnership kicked off last year, and if you haven't shopped there recently, I'll tell you exactly where to start. First, Abercrombie's denim quality is unmatched. I'm a fan of their loose jean. It's really in right now, and the athletic fit has extra room in the thigh I need. Make sure to hit up Abercrombie Essentials collection for tees and their best-selling Essential Popover hoodie. My wife is notorious for stealing that, so you might want to grab a few. Shop Abercrombie to see what everyone's talking about.